Hey guys, Daniel Chabert here from Purple Fire IO. Today we're going through a conversion rate optimization audit. And this is really great for you guys that are not sure if you want to invest into a long-term relationship. Maybe you are not sure if it's worth your money and your time, and perhaps you're not sure about who is actually your real customer and what is wrong with your website and if there are any issues on your website. So an audit is really great for that as we dive deep 360 all over your site. And we really help you understand the issues, what the customer is thinking, and what you can improve based on all this data. And if you work with us long term, we actually use all this data to set up split testing and a pipeline, which is based on solid evidence from your customers or potential customers instead of just best practices. So we think this really gives a much better result. And you will see why at the end of this video, where I will reveal some of the best performing split tests that we set up right away. Really crazy gains. So stick around to the end of the video. All right, so let's dive straight into this audit. I'm just gonna go through it a little bit fast because otherwise it's gonna be like a 30-minute video. But these are all the things that we work on before we start actually doing a split test at all. So we will set up all this, and this is mandatory for any client that works with us. But we also have clients that come in and say, I just want an audit. I want to see where I stand, and I need to take this to, upper management in order to even get approved, get more budget before I can start a monthly retainer model, right? So we collect all this data. We are super users in Google Analytics. We dive deep. We check conversion goals. We check everything is set up. We look at pages that are leaking traffic, high bounce rates, any red flags. And all those red flags actually give us evidence on what user recordings that we should look through. So we set up heat maps, we set up scroll maps. This is software you can install on your website. You can actually see exactly what the customers are doing and potential customers. But instead of just looking through a million recordings, we use the Google Analytics data to see what recordings we should look at first of all, because those pages have issues from a conversion standpoint or from some other UX standpoint that the data tells us. We'll do competitor analysis, we'll do heuristics and best practice analysis, where we'll look through everything as well. We'll find out what is the voice of the customer. This is actually done through surveys, which is actually my very favorite thing to work on. And the reason for that is it reveals an incredible amount of information that you never knew about your customer or potential customer. So this can be how they describe the brand, how they describe the attributes that they like about your product, and what they were considering before they bought, even competitors. It also tells us what was that one reason why they didn't buy or were almost not buying. And we really set up the surveys two ways. One is for visitors that haven't purchased yet, usually in a form of a pop-up around 10 to 20 seconds after they enter the website. And then we'll do post-purchase surveys where we will talk to the customer either through an email or a pop-up at the end after checkout, asking them to talk to us about their experience. And it's crazy what you find in this information. Whenever we have that, we call the magic meeting with our clients and revealing all the data from the surveys, they're shocked at what they get in this area and all the things they can improve on just from the survey alone, right? So the audit is worth it just based on what you will learn about the customer. It's actually shocking how few businesses actually talk to the customers, survey them, and ask them. So this is something we do. We also do interviews, user testing, and reviews mining, which is where we go on all platforms and we read the reviews that customers are leaving, both good and bad, which helps us to define the voice of the customer because we can actually associate words in a positive and a negative way of your customers, and we can almost build a persona. We can build a word tree of what the customer is thinking about your brand. And all this really leads to a testing hypothesis, which we will use when we create a pipeline and say, these are all the split tests we would like to do. because this is solid evidence, this is solid data that your customers or potential customers have given to us, and we want to start there. And doing that is so much better than just starting on your gut feeling and just doing best practice split testing, because the data never lies. And that's our approach to conversion rate optimization. So let's go forward. I'm just going to skip really quickly through some of this, but we did a Google Analytics review of this customer here, and we found out, tons of information from the Google Analytics, but here's just an overview of some of the stuff we found. So this report is actually what we deliver to the client, and it's delivered through a presentation where we go through everything as well. Here we can actually see how the customers exited the website and where it's coming from and so on, which reveals a lot of data as to what can be improved and so on. We also do a speed analysis where we go in and look at the website as an overall and what can be improved. And we also look at specific pages, as you can see here, that kind of stands out as too slow and pages that could be fixed. Of course, we hold that up against how many conversions there are on each page. So even though we see a blog page here that stands out, it's not going to be a game changer in terms of your conversion, right? But anyway, this is really important. And actually for this particular customer, we also do development for them. So our developers got a report after the audit with, 10 different things they had to fix based on what the data told us. So yeah, we're just gonna dive through this really quickly. Page speed insights also revealed that site is super slow, and so we were working actively as one of the first things to improve the website speed overall, because it usually helps the conversion rate. As a rule of thumb, your conversion rate goes down about 7% per second it takes for the page to load. So this is something we always work on with clients. Well, so in here we also have event insights, so we look at all the events and we looked at if there was any issues here. So that's a big part of it, going through everything, checking if it works, checking if there's something that needs to be adjusted. So that is something we do, and we put that into the report as well, so you can see exactly what it is we're doing. So I'm just going to go quickly through these ones because it's going to be too dry for me to go through all that as well. So we do a Google Analytics health check as well. We also migrate customers over to the new analytics platform, which I'm sure you all know is going to replace the old one. So we typically do that if the customer is not already there, and then we look to see if there can be improved, the goals and the error tracking and other stuff like that. So this is something that a lot of businesses forget to do, but you can actually track every time there's an error on your website. And so you should run that report quite often to see if there is a page that gives them an error. So that can be something like product could not be added to cart, or please enter this information to proceed. So this is a UX gold mine, to be honest, because it tells us when there are issues on the website that can be fixed or made easier for the customer. So the qualitative analysis is really a gold mine as well. As I said, it's scroll behaved, and we do a ton of data here. So we'll look at everything and see, what can be improved in terms of scrolling, in terms of clicking. And I'm not going to go through the details here. But generally, we found a lot of evidence that the pages were simply not converting, although they were massive and they were super long, but no one was actually looking at the data below. So we found some evidence to optimize copy and images straight away. So this is really important. And obviously we look at mobile even more than desktop, because we know that the future is there, and most customers are even browsing on mobile more than on desktop as well. So I'm just going to go through some of these. We look at ads as well, so we dive super deep, and here we even look at the copy, because we need to understand if the copy on the ads are similar to the copy on the website, because if there are differences, we need to make note of that and see if we might actually want to fix it. So something that we actually do is come up with, as I said, the voice of the customer, and we will come up with the words and the attributes that the client loves the most, or the potential clients love the most, and we will give them a report, the client, so that they can optimize the ads and rewrite the copy to reflect what attributes the customers actually think are the most important. So that's really useful, and that actually improves conversion rate a ton, as we look at the whole funnel to optimize the copy and make sure it's coherent and reflects what the customer actually wants to hear. So review mining, again, is where we get, what is it that the client actually wants to hear. I just told you about this, and you can see here we've done this. We've looked at thousands of reviews on Amazon and other platforms where they were selling, and we come up with these word trees where we can tell people about, or tell the client what it is they need to focus on, both on the copy and the ads as well. And so here is the one we came up with based on Amazon and other reviews, about what really matters to them. So it's really, really interesting, as this copy was not reflected on their website and was not reflected on their ads as well. So working with all that, we're going to see a game changer in terms of conversion rate. So what is motivating the customers, right? So we did a huge analysis. We actually looked at, these are the main motivations, and we will do copy teardowns and see if the pages actually reflect this, and we can help them rewrite, or they can take this information and do it themselves as well. So all the motivations are super important for actually converting a customer. And I think a lot of clients in Ecom and SaaS and so on, they don't really understand what it is the customer wants to hear. They just paid a bunch of money for a nice landing page, or they wrote it themselves, and I think it sounds good and it's in tune with the brand and the messaging that you want to convey, but you actually don't know if the customer cares at all about the way you're writing it, or if it's the most important motivations for them to buy the product. And here we actually found that there is a lot of work to be done on the motivational side. By the way, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the video. It helps me a ton. I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel from scratch, and it's an uphill battle. So if you can help out with a like and a subscribe, that would be very, very useful for me. Thank you so much. All right, so go to the next one. We look at values as well, so what it is they actually care about. And so you can see here a bunch of reviews that we have highlighted, and also the values from all the reviews that we have kind of compiled into 5 statements, which is really important as well. Hesitation, this is such a big one, and this is what they kind of reveal to you in the survey, in the reviews. So, why would I not eat an energy gum, which is the product of this client here? Well, maybe I'll get jitters or crash. Maybe I'll get other side effects. Maybe I'll not be able to sleep. So that's really important. And so we looked at that, and this is going to be reflected in their copy going forward. So here you can actually see the customer survey, and you can actually see, I know this only says 4 responses, but we have conducted hundreds, so there's actually a lot more than this. But this is what we would be working on in terms of getting that information extracted out, right? And so this question was one where we came up with, and you can see here that there were different responses, although there were hundreds more. I think these were 4 the top ones we wanted to highlight, which is really interesting, right? So what did you like about the experience, or what didn't you like? What we wouldn't mind if you go as detailed as possible. And you know what? So what was it they did before they used the product? Well, coffee, drank Coke, energy shots, coffee, peppermint candy, or other gum. So this is really useful to understand, what are the actual alternatives? And sometimes you will find competitors from this that you didn't know you had. Okay, actually we are competing with Coke because there's caffeine in Coke, right? I didn't know that they were a competitor to us, right? Coffee is a pretty obvious one, but coffee brands actually are a major competitor because they do the same thing, they give you energy, like an energy gum. So something useful. So more and more questions. I'm not going to take you through all of them, but these are the questions. So we asked these, in the pop-up to kind of understand what it is people are associating with a product and why they're not buying and so on. So Here's a product page friction survey that we're also looking at. So you can see the answers here, and I mean, there's not a lot of data here, but we collected way more later on because obviously you want statistical significance. So I think we collected almost 1,000, so it ended up being quite a lot. But anyway, you can see here some of the reasons why they didn't buy, and so on and so on. So pretty useful information as well. I'm just going to go through here. There's some remote user testing we did as well. Here's session recordings that we want to highlight to the client. In this case, we actually go through the session recordings with them and show them some of the issues on the website that we saw again and again. So really, really useful as well. Some of these arrows, these are the things we can track in Google Analytics and keep an highlight on, and you can see some of the issues here. We do competitor analysis as well, where we saw these are super one-to-one competitors, where we can actually do a heuristic analysis to see how they differ and so on. So that's very useful for the client too. You can see some examples of competitor. So I think what I'm trying to show you as well is that it's super intense, our audit. It goes extremely deep, but honestly, that is what it requires in order for you to actually get somewhere, right? Like to actually go to the next level. So this competitor here, right here, it's almost a one-to-one competitor. So pretty interesting to dive in, and we did that, but I'm not gonna talk about it right now because that's outside the scope of this video. So I'm just gonna go through some of this. So really, really interesting as well, the customer journey summary, where you can actually see an overview of all the issues and what we found out as well. So testing roadmap is something we set up based on all this data, and you can see here that what we want to test first and what we want to test next. Now this isn't even everything, but this gives a pretty good indication of what we wanted to test. This client is only testing 2 things per month. As you can see here, we start testing 2 things per month. And some clients are on bigger plans and they are testing 4 or 6 things per month, so it's more intense. But here you can see a hypothesis that we developed based on the audit, and here's the rationale for going through it and the test description. Really interesting how some of these results turned out, right? So our hypothesis was that we believe that customers want to see more images because there are a lot of really great motivations to buy a product, but those are not being displayed on the product page. So, and since Google Analytics is showing a massive drop-off on the product pages, there is good evidence that the product page is not resonating with the customer. They're really not excited about it, and they lose interest. So we need to motivate them, and there are plenty of great motivations. So we redesigned this page. Here you can see the before. You can see it's pretty bland, and there's no big reason to look through. And there's no, like, I'm not getting excited about scrolling to the right because I don't know what's coming. But here I'm getting excited about scrolling to the right because I can see the nice images that are coming. I can see, you know, oh, there might be benefits, reviews where they're mentioned. There's even a video, which is super cool, and a lot more information that you can find out about them. So we set up the split test, and this is based on the data from the audit. And this one was the first one where we had some issues with some of the things not loading correctly. So I believe this data wasn't what we were looking for. But anyway, look at that. The revenue actually increased, which is the key number you want to look for. We don't care about conversion rate, even though we're a conversion rate optimization agency. We care about revenue per user and overall revenue. And you can actually see that there is a difference. We've raised it from $2.46 to $2.52, which is a nice 2.4% increase. And also we raised the revenue overall. So this is actually a win. But look at this. Let's go to the next one. We found out there was an issue with the product, which meant it was not doing a identical split test because it was choosing a different flavor as a standard option, meaning that it wasn't a one-to-one split test. We're simply split testing 2 different flavors, and once we realized that, we fixed it, And there was a huge change in the data afterwards, because look how the blue was consistently winning. Then we fixed it, and then suddenly the orange, the variation is winning, right? And what happened after we fixed that mistake? Look at that. 20.4% conversion rate lift, but more importantly, a 19% almost lift in revenue per user. And as we can see, the revenue is substantially higher, 26% higher revenue. This is a game changer for them. And this was just the first test we did based on our proprietary CRO audit. So this is truly amazing and something that will be a game changer for the client going forward, and really helpful for them. And they were obviously, they were shocked that something like that small could have such a big difference. But for us, it was a ton of hard work to mine out that data, but I'm really pleased to see the result. So month 2, we already have a new split test we want to come up with. So remember, we want to do 2 tests this month for the client. And so this is post-audit, by the way, guys. So we did the audit already, and now we're actively optimizing. So they're working with us on a monthly basis, right? And so this one is really exciting. So what we realized is that on the product page, this is, by the way, the design that we're proposing. But before this, the add to back and all the options were kind of below the fold. So you had to scroll up and down in order to pick the size and add to cart and change the frequency and change the packs. It was so messy. So we put it all up there to the top, and it looks so sleek on mobile. Look at this, so easy to pick the flavor, the frequency, and the pack, and you can add it to the cart, right? And we believe that this is going to massively improve the conversion rate, as you don't need to go up and down, which can be extremely tiring, especially on mobile as well. So yeah, this is really great. And we also did month 3, so we're preparing everything. This is something we already showed to the client, and we're really excited to bring this to fruition. And I think this is a great way for you to understand how you do a conversion rate audit, and hopefully that makes sense, guys. Please comment down below if you have some questions about how to do a conversion rate audit. And if you can like and subscribe, that would be so helpful. As I said, I'm trying to grow from nothing here. So again, appreciate it so much. And if you do want to work with us, go to purplefire.io/conversion rate optimization. And you can also reach out to me at daniel@purplefire.io, and I'll be there to answer your messages. Thanks, guys.